Holy crap, you guys, it is hot out there. God damn, it's like freaking 95 degrees here. So, whew, man, it is hot in here today. What is up, you guys? It's Dom here from JoJo Productions, and today I'm going to talk about why I think beginner filmmakers need to start out shooting short films. I have 3 reasons, so let's get into this thing. Reason number one is going to be, I think it's important for you guys to learn the camera system, how it works, and all the rules that apply to the camera part of it in getting the cinematic image for short films. So first off, I'm going to start off with the frame rate. The frame rate is going to be the biggest, most important thing, because that's pretty much how many pictures go by in a second. And there is a rule to that, actually. So most cinematic movies or short films and commercials or whatever like that are going to be shot in 24 frames per second. Yes, so that's 24 little pictures going by in a second. Pretty crazy, but that's how it works. Even though you do have 24 frames per second, you need to follow the shutter speed rule. This is all going to tie into what we call the 180-degree rule, and we will mention that just in a second. The 180-degree rule says that if you shoot at whatever frame rate, your shutter speed needs to be double that. So if we are shooting at a good 24 frames per second, your shutter speed needs to be at 48th of a second. Yes, 48th of a second. Now, you might be looking at your DSLR camera right now and you're cranking her up, and there is no 40th of a second. You have a 50th of a second. Well, 50th is definitely fine. That's what most of us do when we shoot on DSLRs. We stick it on 50th and we call it good. Unless you are shooting some more kind of proper video or cinema cameras, if you will. For example, the GH4 and the GH5. So instead of setting the shutter speed, what you can do with the GH4 and the GH5 is you can actually set the shutter angle. And that is going to give you the exact, pretty much shutter speed as what it should be. So, if you're shooting at 24 frames, the GH5 will automatically just set it to 48th. If you are shooting 60 frames per second, it's going to set it to automatically 120th of a second. It is super nice having that kind of feature, and I definitely miss it because, yeah, it was just super nice not having to think about that thing and setting it up every time when I changed frame rates. The second thing that you need to learn about your camera is the ISO settings. Why does the ISO settings matter? Because those are the sensitivity to the light around, well, pretty much the light that the camera is gathering inside the lens. So, ISO settings are super important also because when you get into the bigger cinema cameras like the Reds, the Arris, the Sonys, even the GH4 and the GH5, they have what we call native ISOs. And what are native ISOs? Native ISOs are going to be the ISO in which the camera performs the best. It's going to give you the best image quality. It's going to give you the least amount of noise, it's going to give you the best dynamic range, and really it's just going to give you the overall cleanest image that you can get. So, for example, this G7 that I'm shooting on actually has a native ISO of 200, or it might be 400. I've read a couple things. If you know, let me know. I'm not entirely sure. Most of the time, I think it is 200. If you are shooting on the GH5, it is in fact 400. And most cinema cameras are going to be at about 800. Learning what the camera's native ISO is going to help you in the long run, because it's also going to help you with, second thing, lighting. Learning lighting. Now, how do the native ISOs and lighting, how do those come together as one? Well, like I said, the camera's native ISO is going to give you the best image, and most of the time what you're going to do is you're just going to set that camera to its native ISO and you're just going to leave it. So, learning how to light around that native ISO is going to be super important. So if you have a native ISO of 400 and you're kind of shooting in like a darker area because you want to do like a horror film, well then you're probably going to need to adjust the lighting accordingly. Lighting is also just super important because it's going to help you evoke an emotion and mood and how your story should look and feel. So if I'm shooting a horror film, for the most part, I like to have a lot of harsh lighting. So a lot of contrast, a lot of kind of brighter whites. And for the most part, if you're shooting horror, you still kind of want a soft light. For example, what this softbox is doing to me, it is adding some really nice light onto me. So if I turn the softbox off, you will see what I mean. Okay, so there's the softbox, and as you can see, this whole image has definitely changed. So back on again, see, it looks really good, looks like how I want it to do, looks kind of YouTuber-ish, yay, of course. So another good thing about lighting is just learning how to control it. So let's say you're shooting outside and you just want really soft lighting, but that sunlight, it's coming down and it's really harsh. What you're gonna use are you're gonna use some like diffusion or reflection, and you're just going to control that lighting, or you're gonna bounce that lighting in the way that you want it to look. So lighting is just probably one of the most important things that I can definitely think of. And so the final last thing that I think is the most important thing for anything that you're shooting is storytelling. Obviously with short films, there is no other better form of telling a story than with a short film, because obviously that's why you're watching them, you're watching for entertainment. But learning how to tell a good story is going to be super important, because yes, it is going to kind of transfer it over into other styles of filmmaking, whether it be commercials, weddings, music videos. Telling the story is obviously the number one super important thing when you're shooting a video. If you just have a video that doesn't really have any sense of flow or meaning, or it's just random images, it's just going to be really hard to watch that video. So having a story is super important. Having a beginning, middle, and end that you know that people are going to be able to tell what's going on, that is going to be super, super important. So story is definitely the number one thing that you definitely need to learn how to do. And short films, like I said, obviously, it's all about the story. So I'm gonna give one little bonus tip. Another reason why you should probably start out with short film is audio. Now, audio is probably, I would say, the second most important thing, because, well, if you have bad audio, it's definitely gonna take you out of the story. It doesn't matter if you have some of the best cinematic images. I've seen this before. If the audio is super crappy, I'm probably gonna click off the video and I'm gonna go find something else. And I've done it before. Learning audio is super, super important. Understanding microphones, where to put the microphone, which microphones to use for which kind of situation, all of that is super important. Hold on. Hold on, kids. This is the audio recorder that I use. This is the Zoom H4n Pro. It is a super good little audio recorder, and for the most part, it definitely gets the job done. Why I really like this is because I can use the audio that comes from this. I can just record from this. I can plug in like a lav mic into this thing, like right here. That's super nice. Or if we want to get super professional and I'm letting somebody else kind of do the audio and they have really good shotgun mics and stuff like that, it also has these XLR ports that you can see on the bottom right here. So this thing is kind of an all-around do-it audio source. And it's definitely worth the $200 that I bought this for. And to be honest, my short films have never sounded like better. This thing has definitely like upped my production value. So again, audio is super, super important. So there you guys go. Those are my little reasons, I guess, why I think most people should start out shooting short films. Short films are just a lot of fun. You could probably start out doing weddings or music videos, but I just feel like if you do short films, you have a lot more time. You have more time to learn these things. With commercials, you know, you're not under a time crunch. Honestly, it's all about time and learning these kinds of things. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you loved it, subscribe. If you have any comments or questions, please leave those in the comment section below and I'll be sure to get to those. And until next time, we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.